Japanese people don't lack the ability to speak English. They're actively choosing not to speak it.
When you see a Japanese person just freeze up and go totally silent, you probably think they're just bad at English or, they just don't care. But honestly, what's actually happening inside their head during that silence? Well, the day I finally realized it, everything completely changed for me. Stick with me because by the end of this, you are going to see that silence in a totally different way.
To really get into this, I kind of need to confess a deeply personal regret of mine. It's been lingering for a while. Over 10 years ago, I was standing on a local train platform, quiet afternoon, and I noticed this foreign family nearby. Parents, kids, just a massive mountain of suitcases. And they were staring at this crumpled paper map, looking completely exhausted and visibly lost. So I walked over and gently asked where they were heading. They named this super obscure local station. Now, back then, I didn't have a smartphone to quickly pull up a route, and in my head, explaining it just felt way too complex. So I just gave a little bow, said sorry, and walked away. Literally left them standing there. Honestly, I still think about them, and I really hope they made it.
But my absolute deepest regret isn't even that I couldn't give them the directions. It's the overwhelming, literal, physical paralysis I felt in that moment. The fact that the words just completely refused to come out of my mouth. My throat just tightened right up. Why did I freeze like that when I genuinely wanted to help? And why do so many Japanese people freeze in the exact same way when you approach them on the street?
Well, behind that blank, silent exterior you might be seeing, there is this frantic mental checklist spinning wildly out of control. We are intensely overthinking every single syllable. It's like, wait, do I need the word the here? Is I want too abrupt? Should it be I would like? Is have to rude? Should I say I'm or my name is? I know, from the outside, this hesitation probably looks ridiculous or like we're just ignoring you. But from the inside, getting everything perfectly in order grammatically feels absolutely 100% necessary before we can even allow ourselves to speak a single word.
The real truth here is that silence is absolutely not a rejection of you. It's actually a highly effective strategy for self-protection. Think about it. If I stay quiet, I don't fail, right? By not opening my mouth, I effectively protect my identity as someone who might be able to speak English. Living in that potential is just a much safer, vastly more comfortable place to be than standing there as someone who just tried and publicly failed. Silence keeps the possibility of perfection open. It completely avoids vulnerability and judgment. And the crazy thing is that judgment isn't even necessarily feared from you, the person asking the question. It's from other Japanese people nearby who might be listening in, just waiting to judge a grammatical mistake.
Section 1. Beyond English, the habit of silence. Let's dig into this next layer, because this habit of silence we're talking about, it goes way, way deeper. This isn't just some surface-level anxiety about the English language itself. It's literally rooted in the very way we interact with each other.
See, there's this profound systemic cultural habit of leaving things unsaid. In Japan, we have this concept called reading the air, or sasoru bunka. Basically, it's the refined ability to sense what someone means without them explicitly saying it out loud. You communicate through implication, just trusting that the other person will naturally pick up on your underlying feelings. And yeah, it's a beautiful social grace that keeps harmony. But because of this, a lot of Japanese people grew up without much practice in explicitly verbalizing their thoughts directly. We didn't really have robust debate classes in school. Even in our mother tongue Japanese, feelings often stay unspoken simply because the muscle, that daily habit of voicing them, it just never fully developed.
So the really crucial point here is this. When a Japanese person tries to speak English, they aren't just hitting a language barrier, they're hitting a double barrier. First, obviously, you have to overcome the mechanics of a foreign language. But second, and honestly more paralyzing, you have to overcome this deep-seated unfamiliarity with putting anything into words quickly and explicitly. It turns into this severe reluctance to even start a sentence when you know there are gaps in your knowledge, and you just aren't used to speaking to figure it out as you go.
Now, what's genuinely inspiring is that we're actively witnessing a systemic shift right now. Ever since the pandemic, a new generation is slowly moving away from this culture of silent perfection. If you visit souvenir shops, tourist sites, or local cafes today, you'll see this fascinating change. You'll see older staff making these slow, incredibly careful attempts in English, really braving that vulnerability. And you'll see young people readily holding up smartphones and translation apps, super eager to bridge the gap. The generation that learned to hold their silence until perfect is finally being joined by a new generation that's totally willing to just be imperfect out loud.
Section 2. The what? Catalyst. So how do we actually bridge this gap completely? How do we break through that silence once and for all? Let me tell you about the turning point that completely altered my own perspective.
Over years of traveling, I managed to make several foreign friends. and I would constantly message them saying, "Please correct my grammar if I make a mistake." They never did, not even once. They were polite adults who just warmly tried to understand my broken English. But children were wonderfully different. If my pronunciation didn't land perfectly, foreign kids would just bluntly look at me, scrunch up their faces, and go, "What?" multiple times, without any apology whatsoever. At first, I'm not gonna lie, it stung a bit. It triggered all those insecurities. But then this massive realization hit me. There was zero malice in that what. It wasn't judgment at all. It was just a genuine, unpolished, desperate desire to understand what I was trying to say.
And that brilliant realization sparked a total epiphany for me. I realized my situation was the exact mirror image of something I already understood. I mean, think for a second about how absolutely absurd it would be if a foreign visitor came to Japan and flat out refused to attempt a single word of Japanese until they were 100% certain their grammar, vocabulary, and pitch accent were absolutely flawless. They'd literally never speak. Yet that is exactly what I was doing on that train platform 10 years ago. I was demanding absolute perfection from myself before even allowing myself to communicate.
It's the exact mirror image because we Japanese people actually lean in and really welcome broken Japanese from foreigners. Think about it. When a tourist speaks highly fragmented, broken Japanese to us, we don't laugh at them. We don't walk away in disgust. We lean closer. We try to figure out what's being communicated. We prioritize the human connection. We always have. The ultimate goal was always communication, never perfection.
So, knowing all of this about the internal panic and the deep desire to connect, how do you, as a visitor, handle the silence? Well, you break the ice by bypassing that frantic mental checklist for them. You literally don't need to use full eloquent sentences. Just saying Kyoto Station with an inquisitive look is entirely enough. A purposefully pointed finger works wonders. A map on a phone screen, that works better than almost anything else. By offering broken, simple context, you help us completely skip the grammar panic. You're giving us permission to connect directly with your intent rather than the phrasing.
And here is a quiet little secret I want to confide in you. If you, the visitor, try even a single beautifully broken word like arigato, sumimasen, or kore kudasai, a Japanese person's face will almost instantly open up. It completely melts away our own fear of judgment because you have bravely made yourself vulnerable first. Honestly, if that lovely family 10 years ago had just looked at me and said a broken sumimasen before I could even process my panic, I truly believe I would have stepped up, bypassed my fear, and helped them faster. The language is just the opening.
I truly hope the silence you might encounter makes just a little more sense to you now. It's not coldness. It's really just overthinking. So I want to end our explainer today with this warm question for you to think about. How do people in your country feel when trying to speak an unfamiliar language? Are they afraid? Are they brave? On your next trip to Japan, I enthusiastically invite you to use your broken Japanese. Empower yourself to turn an intimidating, heavy silence into a beautiful, memorable moment of connection. You might just be incredibly surprised by the overwhelming warmth you get back.